In the vast expanse of the Andromeda Research Station, Dr. Una Park stared at the holographic genetic display with growing frustration. Her slender fingers traced the complex molecular structures, revealing a crisis that threatened her entire species' future. The Valerian reproduction system was collapsing, with genetic mutations reducing fertility rates to near zero. The station's sterile white walls seemed to close in around her as she realized the magnitude of their problem. Generations of advanced medical technology had failed to solve this fundamental biological challenge. Millions of Valerian females faced the potential extinction of their civilization. Across the room, her research partner, Dr. Kai Li, reviewed the latest genetic sequencing data. His hands moved quickly across the quantum interface, filtering through thousands of potential genetic solutions. Suddenly he paused. "Una," he called out, his voice carrying a hint of excitement. "Look at these human genetic markers." The holographic display shifted, revealing complex human DNA strands. Unlike other species they had studied, human genetic material showed remarkable adaptability and unexpected compatibility with Valerian reproductive systems. The research team had been quietly studying human genetic potential for months, collecting anonymous DNA samples from Earth. What they discovered was nothing short of miraculous. Human males possessed unique genetic characteristics that could potentially solve their reproductive crisis. Dr. Park understood the implications immediately. They would need to approach human authorities carefully. This wasn't just a scientific exploration, it was a potential species-saving mission. Communication protocols required diplomatic precision. The Valerian High Council would need to draft a formal proposal explaining their situation without causing panic or misunderstanding. Humans could easily misinterpret their request as an invasion or aggressive genetic manipulation. Days turned into weeks of careful preparation. Diplomatic. Communication channels were established, scientific data was compiled, and legal frameworks were meticulously designed. The Valerians knew they needed a delicate approach. Their first communication with Earth's Interspecies Genetic Research Committee was deliberately neutral. They presented their findings as a collaborative scientific opportunity, carefully avoiding any language that might suggest desperation or threat. Dr. Park rehearsed potential scenarios. How would humans react to a species requesting genetic contribution for reproductive purposes? Cultural differences could complicate their mission significantly. The research station buzzed with nervous anticipation. Every Valerian scientist understood the stakes. Their entire civilization's future depended on this potential breakthrough. Genetic compatibility was just the first hurdle. They would need willing human participants who understood the complex biological requirements. The process required more than just genetic material. It needed understanding, cooperation, and potentially some form of emotional connection. Dr. Kai Li prepared comprehensive genetic compatibility algorithms. Each potential human candidate would be evaluated against strict scientific criteria. Physical health, genetic diversity, and potential adaptability would be primary considerations. The Valerian approach was clinical, yet hopeful. They saw this not as a conquest, but as a collaborative survival strategy. Humans represented a genetic lifeline, a potential solution to their reproductive challenges. As communication channels with Earth opened, Dr. Park felt a mix of scientific excitement and personal anxiety. She had dedicated her entire career to solving her species' reproductive crisis. This moment could change everything. The holographic displays continued to dance with complex genetic sequences, promising potential, waiting for humanity's response. An entire civilization's hope rested on these microscopic genetic interactions. Little did the humans know that their genetic diversity would soon become the most valuable resource in the galaxy. The Valerians were coming, not with weapons or conquest, but with a simple, profound request for survival. In the quiet of the research station, surrounded by advanced technology and complex scientific equipment, Dr. Una Park allowed herself a small, determined smile. Their journey was just beginning. The first transmission to Earth would change everything. The selection process began with a carefully curated list of potential human candidates. Earth's Global Genetic Diversity Agency received a classified communication that seemed more like a scientific research proposal than a reproductive mission. Initial screening eliminated thousands of potential candidates. The Valerian requirements were strict. Males between 25 and 35 years old, exceptional health, diverse genetic backgrounds, and psychological stability. Out of millions of applicants, only 12 remained. David Thompson stood nervously in the sterile white examination room. He had no idea how he'd been selected, only that a mysterious government program had invited him for what seemed like an extraordinary medical research opportunity. The compensation package was astronomical, enough to pay off his student loans and support his entire family for decades. Dr. Kai Lee watched through one-way glass, carefully observing the human candidates. Each man underwent rigorous physical and psychological assessments. Blood tests, genetic scans, and complex neural mapping revealed intricate details about their biological potential. The Valerian scientists were looking for more than just physical compatibility. They needed individuals with specific psychological traits, adaptability, emotional intelligence, and an open-minded approach to unprecedented biological collaboration. William Rodriguez, a former marine biologist, seemed particularly intriguing. His genetic profile showed remarkable diversity, and his psychological evaluation suggested exceptional adaptability. He asked fewer questions than most candidates, absorbing information with a calm, analytical approach. Michael Anderson, a genetic researcher himself, understood the scientific implications more deeply than others. His background in reproductive biology made him an ideal candidate, though the Valerians were careful not to reveal too much about their specific requirements. The selection process was more than a medical examination. It was a complex dance of biological potential, psychological evaluation, and potential species survival. Each candidate represented hope for an entire civilization. Psychological interviews probed deeper than traditional medical screenings. The Valerian researchers wanted to understand not just the candidates' genetic potential, but their willingness to participate in something unprecedented. "We require your genetic contribution for a critical interspecies research project," Dr. Una Park would explain, carefully watching their reactions. Most candidates showed a mix of confusion, excitement, and nervous anticipation. Background checks were extensive: criminal records, family medical history, psychological evaluations. Nothing was overlooked. The stakes were too high for even the slightest risk. Some candidates were eliminated for reasons they would never understand. A slight genetic mutation, a hidden medical condition, or a psychological profile that didn't quite match the requirements could disqualify them instantly. The final 6 candidates represented a diverse genetic pool. Different ethnicities, backgrounds, and life experiences, each bringing unique genetic characteristics that might hold the key to Valerian survival. Confidentiality agreements were comprehensive. These men could never speak about the true nature of their selection. To the outside world, they were participating in a classified medical research program. David Thompson discovered the real nature of the program during a classified briefing. The revelation was both terrifying and exciting. An alien species needed human males for reproductive purposes, not through invasion, but through careful scientific collaboration. The selected candidates received extensive medical preparations. Genetic modifications, immunological treatments, and psychological conditioning prepared them for what would be the most extraordinary biological mission in human history. Dr. Una Park reviewed the final selections with careful precision. These 6 men represented humanity's first true biological collaboration with an alien species. Their genetic material could potentially save an entire civilization. William Rodriguez asked the question everyone was thinking: what exactly are we agreeing to? The Valerian scientists exchanged knowing glances. The true complexity of their mission was just beginning to unfold. As the final candidates completed their preparations, none of them fully understood the extraordinary journey that awaited them. They were about to become more than just genetic donors. They were becoming pioneers of an unprecedented interspecies biological collaboration. The selection was complete. Humanity's most extraordinary genetic mission was about to begin. The first meeting between the Valerian scientists and selected human candidates happened in a secure research facility located in a remote mountain region. Sterile white walls and advanced technological equipment surrounded them, creating an atmosphere of clinical precision. Dr. Una Park entered the room with calculated confidence. Her alien physiology was subtly different from humans, slightly taller, with pale lavender skin and large, intelligent eyes that seemed to analyze everything simultaneously. Behind her, 3 other Valerian researchers followed, each carrying complex medical tablets. William Rodriguez sat closest to the door, his military training making him hyper-aware of every movement. David Thompson looked nervous, constantly adjusting his posture. Michael Anderson appeared most scientific, taking mental notes of everything happening around him. "Welcome," Dr. Park began, her translated speech sounding slightly mechanical. "We require your genetic contribution for species continuation." The humans exchanged uncomfortable glances. The directness of her statement created an immediate tension in the room. The Valerian researchers explained their reproductive challenge with clinical detachment. Genetic mutations had destroyed their species' ability to reproduce naturally. Human males represented their last potential solution. The presentation was more like a scientific lecture than an emotional request. "We will require biological samples." Another Valerian researcher stated, "The process is completely medical and scientific." David Thompson raised his hand, looking confused. "Exactly what does that mean?" Dr. Park pulled up holographic genetic displays, showing complex molecular structures. The humans watched, partially fascinated and partially terrified by the intricate biological information. Michael Anderson, being a genetic researcher, asked technical questions. His scientific curiosity overcame his initial nervousness. He wanted to understand the precise genetic mechanisms behind their reproductive requirements. The Valerian approach was remarkably straightforward. No romantic complications, no traditional reproductive methods, just pure biological collaboration. They viewed the entire process as a scientific solution to a critical problem. William Rodriguez found the clinical nature of their approach both fascinating and slightly uncomfortable. These alien researchers treated reproduction like a technical engineering problem, removing all emotional context. Translation devices helped bridge communication gaps, but cultural misunderstandings remained constant. The Valerians didn't understand human social complexities, while humans struggled to comprehend the aliens' direct approach. "We will provide comprehensive medical support," Dr. Park explained. "Your genetic contribution ensures our species' survival." The humans discovered they would undergo extensive medical preparations. Genetic screenings, immunological treatments, and psychological evaluations would precede any actual genetic contribution. Compensation packages were extraordinary. Each selected male would receive lifetime medical coverage, substantial financial support, and potential future research opportunities. The Valerians approached this as a professional, mutually beneficial arrangement. Psychological evaluations continued throughout the initial interactions. The Valerian researchers observed how each human processed the extraordinary information. Some showed scientific curiosity, others nervous excitement, and a few displayed mild anxiety. Dr. Kai Lee monitored physiological responses, tracking subtle changes in heart rate, brain activity, and stress levels. Every interaction provided valuable scientific data about human-Valerian interactions. The first day concluded with more questions than answers. The human candidates left the facility both excited and uncertain about their future role in this unprecedented biological mission. William Rodriguez commented privately to David Thompson, "This is definitely not what I expected when I signed up for a research program." David simply nodded, still processing the extraordinary information they had just received. As night fell over the mountain research facility, complex scientific equipment continued processing genetic data. The Valerian researchers worked tirelessly, knowing their entire species' future depended on these interactions. The first interactions had been successful. Initial communication barriers were overcome, and the groundwork for an extraordinary biological collaboration was established. Humanity's most unusual reproductive mission was officially underway. The research facility became more than just a scientific environment. As weeks passed, unexpected connections began forming between the Valarian researchers and human candidates. William Rodriguez discovered he shared a deep intellectual connection with Dr. Una Park. Their conversations extended beyond genetic research, exploring philosophical questions about species survival and biological adaptation. Her direct communication style, once perceived as clinical, now felt refreshingly honest. David Thompson found himself fascinated by the Valarian culture. Their approach to problem-solving challenged everything he understood about scientific collaboration. He learned about their complex social structures, technological advancements, and unique evolutionary history. Michael Anderson's scientific curiosity transformed into genuine respect for the Valarian research team. He realized this wasn't just a medical experiment, but a profound journey of species survival and mutual understanding. Dr. Kai Lee noticed something unexpected happening. The human candidates were no longer just genetic contributors. They were becoming partners in a complex biological mission. Personal connections were developing beyond the initial clinical approach. Shared meals became moments of cultural exchange. The Valarians prepared nutritional supplements that fascinated the human researchers. Conversations moved from technical discussions to personal stories, bridging biological differences. William discovered that Dr. Una had lost her entire research team in a previous genetic research accident. Her determination to save her species wasn't just professional, it was deeply personal. This revelation changed how he perceived the entire mission. The research facility developed its own unique ecosystem. Human and Valarian researchers worked side by side, creating a collaborative environment that transcended traditional scientific boundaries. Laughter began replacing initial tension. Genetic compatibility tests revealed more than just biological potential. Each interaction showed complex emotional and intellectual connections forming between two dramatically different species. David Thompson learned about Valarian family structures. Their approach to community and survival was radically different from human social systems. What initially seemed alien now appeared beautifully complex and thoughtful. Michael Anderson started teaching Valarian researchers about human cultural nuances. They were particularly fascinated by concepts of humor, emotional complexity, and individual expression. Dr. Una Park found herself understanding human emotional complexity more deeply. William's stories about his family, his military background, and his personal challenges provided insights beyond scientific observations. The research team developed a unique communication style. Technical language mixed with personal anecdotes. Scientific precision merged with emotional understanding. They were creating something entirely new. Psychological evaluations showed remarkable changes. Initial nervous interactions transformed into genuine collaborative relationships. The human candidates were no longer just genetic contributors. They were becoming partners in an extraordinary mission. Unexpected moments of connection surprised everyone. Shared jokes, cultural misunderstandings, and moments of genuine human Valarian friendship emerged. The clinical research environment became something more, a place of genuine mutual discovery. William and Dr. Una discovered they both loved complex mathematical problems. Their evening discussions explored genetic algorithms and theoretical biological modeling. What started as professional collaboration became a genuine intellectual partnership. David found himself learning the Valarian language, surprising the research team with his dedication. His attempts to understand their communication style showed a depth of commitment beyond initial expectations. Michael's scientific presentations became collaborative experiences. Valarian researchers would interrupt, ask questions, and contribute, perspectives that challenged traditional human research approaches. The facility became a microcosm of potential interspecies collaboration. Every day brought new discoveries, not just about genetics, but about the potential for understanding between different intelligent species. As genetic preparation continued, something unexpected happened. These were no longer just research subjects and scientists. They were becoming friends, collaborators, and potentially something much more profound. The mission had transformed. What began as a clinical genetic research project was becoming a journey of mutual understanding, respect, and unexpected connection. The Valerian researchers realized they were discovering something more valuable than genetic solutions. They were learning about cooperation, friendship, and the extraordinary potential of different species working together. Humanity's most unusual reproductive mission was evolving into something far more significant than anyone had initially imagined. The first hybrid child arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning. Little Elena, with her unique lavender-tinted skin and human-like facial features, represented more than just a medical success. She symbolized a new chapter in galactic evolution. Dr. Una Park held the infant, tears streaming down her face. William Rodriguez stood beside her, a mixture of pride and wonder filling his expression. Their genetic collaboration had produced something extraordinary, a living bridge between two species. Galactic diplomatic channels buzzed with the news. The Valerian High Council celebrated their first successful reproductive breakthrough. Earth's scientific community monitored the development with intense curiosity and cautious excitement. Elena demonstrated remarkable abilities from her first months. Her cognitive development combined Valerian analytical skills with human emotional intelligence. Medical researchers discovered her genetic structure represented a perfect genetic harmony between two different species. William found himself becoming more than just a genetic contributor. He became a father figure, learning Valerian parenting techniques while introducing human emotional connections. Dr. Una watched their interactions with scientific fascination and growing personal attachment. The research facility transformed into a hybrid cultural center. More children arrived, each representing a unique genetic combination. Human and Valerian researchers worked together, creating educational programs specifically designed for these extraordinary hybrid beings. Diplomatic relations between Earth and the Valerian homeworld reached unprecedented levels. What started as a reproductive research project became a comprehensive interspecies collaboration. Trade agreements, scientific exchanges, and cultural understanding expanded rapidly. Michael Anderson developed specialized educational curricula for hybrid children. These programs integrated both Valerian logical training and human creative thinking. The results were remarkable: children who could solve complex problems while maintaining emotional flexibility. David Thompson became a key diplomatic liaison. His military background and cultural understanding helped bridge communication gaps between humans and Valerians. He explained the nuanced aspects of both species' social structures, facilitating smoother interactions. Global perspectives began changing. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. The successful hybrid program demonstrated that intelligent species could collaborate beyond traditional biological limitations. Elena's first public appearance created global excitement. News networks broadcast her interactions, showing a perfect blend of Valerian and human characteristics. She became a symbol of potential interspecies cooperation. The Valerian reproductive crisis transformed into a celebration of genetic diversity. What initially seemed like a desperate scientific mission had become a hopeful galactic narrative about survival, collaboration, and unexpected connections. Research continued, but the emotional component became increasingly important. The hybrid children showed extraordinary potential. They possessed enhanced cognitive abilities, emotional intelligence, and a unique perspective that transcended single-species thinking. William and Dr. Una's relationship evolved beyond their initial scientific collaboration. They became life partners, raising Elena and supporting other hybrid families. Their personal journey reflected the broader galactic transformation happening around them. Economic systems adapted to the new reality. Specialized industries emerged to support hybrid education, medical care, and cultural integration. Universities created dedicated research programs studying interspecies genetic collaboration. the first hybrid diplomatic team emerged, with Elena as a potential future representative. Her unique background positioned her as a perfect bridge between human and Valerian perspectives. Medical breakthroughs accelerated. The genetic research that solved the Valerian reproductive challenge began, providing insights into treating complex human genetic disorders. Scientific collaboration produced unexpected medical innovations. Psychological research revealed fascinating insights about communication, empathy, and intelligence. The hybrid children demonstrated abilities that challenged traditional understanding of cognitive development and emotional intelligence. Global leaders recognized this as more than a scientific achievement. It represented humanity's first successful, peaceful collaboration with an alien civilization. The reproductive mission had become a template for future interspecies interactions. William often reflected on their extraordinary journey. From a classified research program to a transformative galactic moment, their work had changed everything. The clinical initial interactions had blossomed into something far more profound. Dr. Una looked at Elena playing, her scientific mind overwhelmed with emotion. They had not just saved a species, they had created a new path for galactic understanding. The hybrid children represented hope. They were living proof that different species could not just coexist, but create something beautiful and unexpected. Together, a new galactic future had begun, one genetic connection at a time.